First of all, I can understand why you would want to follow this dude into the breach. I mean, he did nothing he said he was going to do. I mean, unless you got part of his corporate tax cut, in which case it was just something the Republicans have been talking about for a long time, and he just went, "Where do I sign?" And it ended up, becoming law. But like, infrastructure week, firing the cops program, team that would, help local police departments and state departments broom out bad cops and hire better people so that, had that program been in place, more than likely Derek Chauvin would have been broomed and the entire George Floyd thing never would have fucking happened. But, scrap that. It has Obama's name on it. 2 years later, like clockwork. Having a pandemic response team, just normal. Like, this isn't even high math in terms of what you're going to prepare for. Obviously, the threat that you're going to experience in this modern world where we have our mixed economy with the rest of the earth, and we're the biggest economy in the world, so our citizens are going to have the freedom and the money to travel the world as much as, or not more than anyone else. So infectious disease is obviously going to be something we have to deal with, right? In theory. So why not spend a couple of million to save ultimately trillions of dollars? I mean, you want to talk about art of the deal. You want to talk about business acumen, the business smarts that Trump brought. He fired the pandemic response team, shut it down, and bitched about it costing something like $10 million or something a year. We've spent $5 trillion recovering from the COVID pandemic. Mr. President, here's a great idea. You can spend $10 million or set fire to $5 trillion effectively instead, while still losing a bunch of your citizens, while they still die. And, the immeasurable cost of human life. Hold on, I'm thinking. Yeah. And this is the guy. Oh, we got 666 people in the chat room already. Look at that. 666 super chat. Don't forget, we've recently had to take on more representation, which is expensive. So if you feel like helping the show, please do. It's going to take a little while to see the positive ramifications of this. I'm investing in doing this show on the real now. I officially today, we launched ourselves from hobby territory. Love you too. So any support is welcome. Level 5 hype trains, always fantastic. Look at that. God bless you, Twitch, you guys over there. Twitch.tv/HalSparks if you're watching this later. All right, now, where was I? Oh, yes, the worst businessman in history making the dumbest decisions monetarily and towards the safety of the very people that he represents. Obviously, there was a point multiple times during the Trump administration where we all had, there was like this pause and everybody had this, we're all Stormy Daniels now moment for the penthouse. And, oh, you want the penthouse? Carl Jacobson has dibs on the penthouse in 666 Fifth Avenue once I buy it. So that's by the way, what if you're new here, that's what the $6.66 donations are for. We're saving up to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. I know what you're thinking. Hal, you couldn't possibly afford that. You don't have enough money to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. And my response is, neither did Jared Kushner, and that didn't stop him. Okay, now, so this guy, I mean, if you're going to be all in on a dude, the failed casinos, the Trump steaks, the weird gropey pictures of him and his daughter, the pussy grabbing, audio tapes, the potential, PP tape compromise from Russia, the shaking hands with Vladimir Putin, palm up like a fucking puppy. Oh, $6.99 Canadian. I appreciate that. Look at that. I like the exchange rate. I appreciate that. It's a little dirty, I will say, my beloved Canadians. The penthouse at 666 used to be a restaurant. Well, what you're gonna have to then Carl's gonna have to invite us all up for dinner. Yes, the DNA on E. Jean Carroll's dress, right? I mean, just lots of shit. But not the least of which is Jimmy Carter created twice as many jobs as Donald Trump did in his one term as president. Let me say that again. And because Jimmy Carter is effectively the modern joke president. People have, like Gerald Ford's the fall down the stairs joke, but it kind of, fell into the respectability. A lot of people look at a picture of Gerald Ford and go, is that guy an astronaut? But in terms of historical punchlines, the idea is that Jimmy Carter has this magical grip on somehow being the joke presidency because of the way the right wing has portrayed him for years. The way you would a good Christian man who spent his post-presidency building houses for the fucking poor and and removing lead gasoline from the country, like for fuck's sake. Anyways, good man, and created twice as many jobs as Trump did before COVID. So forget the ones that were wiped out. Now if you count the COVID year, Jimmy Carter created 10 times as many jobs. So there you go. Thank you, Pam, in the Facebook chat. Oh, that's very sweet. So so obviously this is the guy you would want to follow once again into the breach. If you're sitting in a DC jail right now and you've been there for 10 months because the guy who said I'll pay your legal bills for assaulting someone was shockingly absent when the bill came due. Right? That was one of the things he said at his original 2015 rallies, right? If you have to beat somebody up and they sue you, I'll pick up your the tab for your legal bills, which he didn't do at that time, nor did he do now. Why the fuck would you be surprised that you're in jail without any, using a public defender? And when you tell when you spit on guards and they get, when the judge in your case gets a report about how you're acting in prison, which they will compare to what you say when you're in your bond hearing, like, he's been fairly good or whatever. Okay, well, he was normal as bond. All right, there's a chance he can get along with people. He recognizes the seriousness of what's going on. He told me he's learned his lesson. Has he learned his lesson? No, he's been threatening to murder the guards' families and spitting in their face and saying he hopes they get COVID and all that kind of shit. And he knows your home address, Your Honor. Like, I'm shocked that fellow can't make bail. What about his buddy who was carrying the hammer and the box cutter that he brought to the White House, to the Capitol? Oh, that guy can go home. He's fine. Why? Has he cried? Oh, that's fine. Is he going to come back? Hope so. So there, but if you were finding yourself in that kind of situation, this is the dude to follow. This is the dude to back 100%. And if there's ever going to be another, Machiavellian gathering around the zip tie guy gathering around a desk. Who? Thank you, Aggie. There is no 666 option in Swedish currency. Oh, that's terrible. That needs some looking into. But thank you, Aggie. That's hilarious. So you could just picture him in that kind of like 999 video that they always show of Hitler flipping out. Not at all losing his mind, not at all having his Pervitin handshake like Gosar. I'm sure watching this interview, a fresh, hot off the presses interview with OAN, the Orange Anus Network, that these folks, this is going to be the one, like, maybe, you know what, maybe I've been mistaken this whole time. In the last year, as we've watched him talk out of his ass repeatedly over the last year, increasingly pegging the gibberish meter with each speech, each rally, getting dumber and dumber. Maybe he's turned it around. Maybe these maggots gather round, pull up a snack of I don't know, what do you guys eat? Slim Jim soaked in bourbon? What's the macho meal tonight? Is it all just Jim Baker tubs of beans? I mean, sometimes you get to get sick of prepper food and just spring for some Applebee's. Even, just sneak in there, put on your mask, don't go with your group, and just take your mask off at the table and just don't try to caught nobody. All right. Oh boy. All right, here we go. I have to back this up a little bit, I think. Yeah. Hello, Mr. President. Oh God, she's not happy about this. I've never felt so Karened in my life. MREs and yogurt. That's right. All right, here we go. I can't do the old MREs. You got too much sugar in them. And my gastroenterologist says if I'm going to be ready for the battle of the big bulge, I got to work. All right.
President Trump, we are a year out from the current administration, practically a year from January 6th. What's your assessment, or what's your overall review of the current administration? Yeah,
get live from inside a wedding cake. This big, permanently empty room at Mar-a-Lago. I'm fairly certain that at this point, Trump sleeps on a small cot in the corner. I guess only when Melania is there, and he sleeps in in one of the linen closets on a big pile of used sheets and mattress toppers.
Well, I think like everybody else is, it's a disaster.
Yeah, is that what everybody else thinks? It's a disaster? Yeah, especially the newly employed. You know who really thinks it's a disaster? People who work in industries that will be will be desperate for workers building infrastructure next year. It's a disaster.
Our country has never felt like this. It's never been like this. And it's respected all over the world. We don't have. It's almost as though we have no power left.
Oh, I see.
You look at what's going on in Russia with Ukraine.
My mic switched
China
off.
With Taiwan.
My mic switched off. That was weird. Oh, when I touched it, my mic has a little like a button on the top of it, and I was fondling it. I was saying, see if you in my day you could touch America and it wouldn't mute itself. Somebody go outside and put your hand on the ground and see if America still feels good. Jesus Christ! Don't if you're back east. Watch out for the snow. Audio cut out exactly when I hooked up a new speaker system. That was a close call. I'm sorry to do that to you, E-Love. That was a dick move. Almost 1,000 people in the chat already, and we're just getting started. All right, here we go.
You look at so many, everything, Iran.
Hold on.
It's almost as though we have no power left. You look at what's going on in Russia with Ukraine. You look at China with Taiwan. You look at so many, everything. Iran is making threats. They're all making threats. They weren't threatening us when I was there. Nobody was going to.
They didn't have to. You did whatever they want. They didn't need to threaten you. The idea was, oh, you're going to take over the whole country and just shit on democracy and turn it into an authoritarian thing, and then you'll just hand us our shit like in 4 years, something like that. Okay, cool. We can wait.
Threaten us. And I think a lot had to do with the Afghan withdrawal, the way we
By the way, does he forget like all the little Rocket Man nuclear our weapons work, blah, 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 in his first year? Like his first year of the presidency, everybody was like pushing him, except Russia, of course, because they were like, he's cool. Don't worry about him. We got, yeah.
From Afghanistan, it was and getting out was a good thing, not a bad thing. But you
have to get out with dignity and joy, and you had to get out in a way that sparks joy. Fuck. You should have used my magic plan. is a magic plan. Yeah. Whoa. It's a magic plan.
Keep Bagram, and you had to take your soldiers and your troops out last, not first, and get all of our hostages.
Yeah, that's what you do. When you eat potato chips, you take the bag and you open it and you pour it into a bowl so all the dust is on top. The last American out was a soldier, and he walked out with his back to the country. He didn't walk in like laying cover fire. You fucking moron.
Now they're hostages out, and you don't leave.
Oh, there's hostages. Did you guys know there's hostages in Afghanistan? Yeah, there's hostages. I mean, they're a hostage to their own desire to stay in Afghanistan and be a part of the opium trade, but hostages nonetheless. Slaves they're wage slaves in the opium trade. There's just too much money to be made. It's another strike against capitalism.
$1 billion worth of equipment. Maybe you leave 10 cents worth of equipment. You don't even leave that.
Do you think?
Dude, 10 cents. You say 10 cents when you talk about China never gave us in terms of the trade deficit. Now you've blown your 10-cent wad early. Maybe you leave 10 cents worth of shit. Asshole, most of the stuff we left behind was for the Afghan military, whether they used it or not. That's the dice you roll, fucko.
Said every nut, every bolt, every screw. I want everything out.
Yeah, I want soldiers walking around with giant magnets while they're getting shot at, cleaning up stuff we can buy at Home Depot.
Do you think that was a turning point for the American people? How do you think?
Hey, we hit 28,000 subscribers just now or today in a little bit. Yay! Look at that, yet another. If only we could hit 30. I know, I'll never be satisfied, will I? 13,000. Still like and subscribe, thumbs up, all that stuff. Okay, here we go.
Perception changed.
I think Afghanistan was the most embarrassing moment, demeaning moment in the history of our country. I think we've never had a moment like it. Look, obviously.
No, we've never. No, Bay of Pigs, leaving Hanoi, end of the Vietnam War. You know what? It's interesting. There's what I would call active embarrassment and passive embarrassment. The active embarrassment would be the moments you have, where you eat shit while trying to play hockey for the first time. That's an active moment. Or you say the wrong thing, you get all wound up that you're gonna, this'll get them, and then you eat shit, whatever it is. And then there's passive embarrassment. Something where you wake up and you've been doing some stupid shit for 2 decades that you should have stopped doing a long time ago, but you kept at it and you kept at it. And you wake up that morning, the most embarrassing you feel is not that you finally stopped, but that it took you so fucking long. And so in terms of Afghanistan, the biggest and most embarrassing thing about Afghanistan is arguably the 13 years after us helping them establish a democracy on their own. And it started getting on, up and on its way. Once that happened, check please. But we stayed and we stayed and we stayed and we stayed and stayed. And he ran on promises to get us out. Never did. You mean you get out, but you don't get out. Keep Bagram. Have a giant military base. Put a big bullseye on your soldiers' backs and spend millions of dollars. Keep pouring $300 million a year, a day into the desert. For a government that won't stand on its own to stop a civil war that the minute we leave, it will continue. But
the borders are a disaster. Inflation's eating our lunch. It's eating our people.
Eating our people? Wait a minute, what? Inflation is eating our lunch? No, the Chinese and the Russian, oh fuck, man. Never, 10 cents goes, he's getting his little analogy points all screwy now. This is not good. China never gave us 10 cents before the tariffs to help the farmers. That's the lie about that. And then, fuck, now I've lost track of it. What the fuck are you saying?
Look, obviously the borders are a disaster. Inflation's eating our lunch. It's eating our people away.
Inflation is eating our people away. It's like it's the flesh-eating virus of economics. It's eating our people away. Okay. I mean, he has it's the best words, just not the order that's optimal. He's eating, it's eating our lunch, it's eating our people away.
The economy, but inflation in particular is just a disaster. What's going on in so many ways, we were energy independent, our military is being disrespected. We've never had a time like this, but I think the most important moment was that very short period where we really gave up. It was almost like we surrendered to people without guns.
Yeah.
You know, here we have these jets, we have everything else.
Oh, for fuck's sake. He went back to Afghanistan. I was like, surrender to people without guns. He means Afghanistan. He's going back to this bullshit that our soldiers in Afghanistan who were following orders, you know, demilitarizing gear, except for the stuff that they were leaving for the Afghan military to try and use to stabilize their country. None of our fucking business. That, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. Here you guys go. But our soldiers ran from guys with knives and fully surrendered, and that our soldiers are weak and surrendered to the Taliban. That's what he said. Instead of they followed orders and carried them out honorably, they surrendered. Fucking hell. How do you Hey, maggots, I know there's a couple of you in the crowd out there. I know you love this fucking dude and you'd crawl through broken glass to sniff his farts just to see what his lunch was like. But you're just cool with this? You're just cool with him shitting on our soldiers like this? This is okay? Because he's not saying the leaders made our soldiers look bad. He's saying our soldiers ran and away from guys with knives. He said this multiple times. We've seen this on like 5 different rallies. He brought this stupid shit up, 4 or 5 different interviews. Maggots, America first, folks, whatever the fuck you call yourselves now as you're trying to distance yourself from the shit you pulled on January 6th last year. But you're cool with this? You're cool with this. Go back and don't watch it with my commentary if you don't want. Watch every interview he's given in this stupid fucking room. From Bill O'Reilly to Candace Owens or whatever. And anytime he brings up leaving Afghanistan, he says it's an embarrassment. It's the most embarrassing thing in America's history, which is fucking ridiculous anyways. And then he says our soldiers are cowards. Yeah, I have a ponytail. Don't get excited.
We literally surrendered to the Taliban. It's not...
No, he fucking well did not. He made a deal with the Taliban. We're gonna leave. Don't shoot our soldiers and we'll get the fuck out. If there was a surrender, he negotiated it with a guy he broke out of a Pakistani jail, and that guy talked him into releasing 5,000 Taliban fighters before this happened. Who the fuck do you think was killing the Afghan soldiers during that time? People he insisted on getting out of jail. He negotiated the exit. What the fuck is with you guys? Why is this ever okay? Here's the challenge. Like everything else he does, build that wall all the fuck you want. But this is fucking gross. Especially from a party that supposedly supports the military and respects our soldiers. What the fuck happened to that? Why did you guys just throw that out the goddamn window? Because it's stunning. It's not even like he's hedging around it. He's done the same stupid quote multiple times. He goes off on this. And maybe it's because I have family that are in the military that this particularly irks me. The American soldiers didn't leave people behind. They didn't leave another soldier behind. They didn't surrender to dudes with knives. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, I'll be back to being funny about this and silly about this. It's just, how are they? I'm stunned. I don't know how are the maggots okay with this? Why are you guys still tonguing his butthole every turn when he says shit like this about our soldiers? And at the same time going, well, you get out. I mean, you get out of Afghanistan. Of course, I had a great plan, a dignified plan to get out of Afghanistan. Never instituted it, didn't do it. What was different the year before last? What was the difference on the ground in terms of leaving Afghanistan materially in 2019 or 2018 or 2017? What was the fucking difference? What was the difference? What was the difference? There's no difference. And yet he just could not institute it. He just couldn't carry it out. He knew all the best people, had all the best words, couldn't get those people and those best words together. Couldn't make that jam sandwich work. Oh, this is Christina Bobb. She's the OAN reporter who's been backing the big dumb lie the longest. She's all in on the election fraud.
Believable. And I had an understanding with them. They were not going to be touching us. They were not going after us.
Well, yeah, unless we stayed past May 31st.
We had a very good understanding. There was no reason for this. And I was getting them out. I'm the one that got them down to 2,500 troops. Yeah. Less.
Yeah, we needed 6,000 to fly in to help get everybody else out. You didn't remove any of the other people. The special immigrant visa folks, embassy staff, none of those people were starting to get evacuated. None of those plans had been made. Once the campaign started, he stopped doing president shit. Once he lost, he was like, fuck this country. I don't care about any of these people. They hamstrung the SIV program the entire time. 2 years. The minute he made this deal, they should have started walking people out. We know we're getting the military out. You take the military out last, and why didn't you get any of the embassy out? Why didn't you get any of the staff out? Why didn't you start moving any of the SIV? If you're going to move those people last, then why didn't you move anybody else first? Where was the first wave of people coming out that never fucking happened? A year before the deadline. Jesus Christ.
I think it was the turning point, and I think it was a bad turning point for Joe Biden, too.
Well, and you're...
No, it isn't. There was a media narrative around it. It'll drag his poll numbers down for a little while. And you know what's going to happen in the spring? We're going to still be out of Afghanistan. People are going to be looking at Kazakhstan, and they're going to be looking at all the ISIS and ETIM and Al-Qaeda offshoots that are going after the Chinese for how they're fucking with the Uyghurs and going after the Russians for how they're fucking with the Chechens. And they're like, those two countries are so fucked right now because we left and the target just switched to them. I mean, look at Kazakhstan now. Holy shit. And you know what Russia's blaming, you know who Russia's blaming for what's going on in Kazakhstan? Us. Yeah. Russia's saying we're fucking with Kazakhstan. Dude, we're out. This is your problem. We've been holding this problem back by dicking around in Afghanistan for 20 years.
Talking about how the press really had accused you of potentially getting us into wars with North Korea, with our enemies, and accusing you of creating unsafe environments and all of that. And just...
Well, you certainly didn't broom out the unsafe environments we were in.
First year, we're seeing that that's actually true for the Biden administration, but it was never...
Oh, you mean the missiles that North Korea is testing right now as a wag the dog against their own people because they're having massive starvation, COVID problems, and the missiles they're flying are technology they built while Trump was in office, because as long as they didn't fire a missile, they could build all they fucking wanted. So they just went, oh, we'll just lay back and do all the lab work, and then we'll launch this shit if anybody else gets in. And if not, Trump will continue to recognize us as an important part of this. Like, this is just dumb.
For your administration.
In fact, I was the first president in many decades that didn't get us into a war. They were all saying he's a war.
Sorry, we're in and out of Syria during that time. And I brought those guys home from Syria. No, you didn't. Send them to Saudi Arabia to guard gas refineries.
He's a war guy. He's somebody that loves wars. I don't. But people respected us. And
did they? Sorry, if you if they respected us, then why did you have to go kiss their ass all the time? Nobody respects somebody that kisses their ass nonstop.
Weren't going to mess around. You know, when you're weak, you end up in wars. And we were respected. So 1 year ago.
Dude, this, by the way, this is the guy who also believes that China attacked us with the COVID virus on purpose. That it was not an accident, that it was a biological weapon, which again means that Donald Trump was president of the United States during the worst bioweapon attack in this, taking his story on this, worst bioweapon attack in the history of our country. It killed so far 800,000 plus people, depending on if you believe Florida's numbers or not. And his response was to kiss the ass of the leader of that country while he finished a trade deal, and then halfway through the bioweapon attack, again, according to his belief about this, halfway through it, sell them all of our beef, corn, and soybeans while Americans were in food lines. I know I hammer this every so often, but it can't be said enough. God damn it.
We're respected like probably never before.
Yeah, fuck the mission to the moon or the winning of World War II, battle of allies and ticker tape parades and fucking, yeah, fuck the greatest generation. What do they know? Nobody respected us the way when Captain Pussy Grabber was in charge and looking the other way as we were struck by a Chinese bioweapon. Fucking hell.
China respected us. They weren't buying oil
what?
From Iran. Now they're buying massive amounts of oil from Iran, making Iran.
Hold on. China respected us and they weren't buying oil from Iran?
Respected. So 1 year ago, we were respected like probably never before. China respected us. They weren't buying.
1 year ago. 1 year ago to him was, well, that may be kind of true because a year ago from when this interview was, which was like, what, 2 days ago, was after he had lost the election. So the American people had voted him out of office in a landslide. And so there might be some argument that a year ago, when he was technically still president, but a lame duck before this January 6th horse shit, that the rest of the world, we may have been actually more respected than at any time in our history. Like, oh, fuck, we thought we were heading down Hitler Avenue, and you guys chose the right fork in the road. Phew, right?
Oil from Iran. Now they're buying massive amounts of oil from Iran, making Iran rich. China wasn't doing that. Iran would have had to deal with us within 1 week after the election if the election.
Why didn't they have it before then? What the fuck did the election mean? They weren't. Oh, God.
Wasn't rigged.
Right.
We would have had to deal with Iran. We would have had to deal with everything was going beautiful.
Yeah, everything was going beautifully. Like we were doing mass graves like Potter's Field in some places. And, we were having to build triage centers. And once the vaccines started coming out, the people who avoided them the most were Trump fans. And they're killing themselves at a high clip to prove their fealty to Dim Jones over here in his fucking French wedding cake set.
And then the election got rigged and stolen from the American people. And by the way, that's the reason they went in massive numbers. They don't cover the numbers of people. They always show the Capitol with a very small, just a tiny percentage of the people that were there. They never
showed the giant crowd that went home. They went, well, fuck it. They listened to you one last time and went, you know what? I'm hanging it up. I guess Biden won, so never mind. Those folks that went that way, yeah, we're not worried about those assholes, dum-dum. We don't care. As a matter of fact, they voted for you. I have my differences with them, but live and let live. It's a democracy. I don't have a fucking... It's the ones who stormed the fucking Capitol we're concerned with, fucko.
Helicopter pictures of that incredible crowd because it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken before. I've never had a crowd. I've never seen a crowd that big.
It was...
No. Shall I play the video of Metallica playing. I think the video that's on YouTube is Metallica playing. What's this shit? Enter Sandman. Yeah, hold on. I'll find it. Hold on. Metallica. Enter Sandman. Just in case. Whoops, shit. Wrong. I'm typing in the wrong field again. Man, Russia. Let's see. There's I can't play the audio of it, because I'll get shut down. Hold on, mute. There we go. Hold on. I want here. Check this out. They come out and play. Look at this. Look at this shit. First, and for the record, can I just say, metal fans, I salute you, because nobody died. Look how big that fucking crowd is. And it goes on, like, the fucking, here it is. There's a shot. Wait till this comes up. God damn. Look at that. It's like a fucking mile. We love you, Metallica. We salute you. And if you haven't heard them do this at this concert, it's just unbelievably powerful. So good. Anyways, let's see. Really, the biggest crowd you've ever seen? But I don't want to channel Candace Owens, but he is old and gets his news from local media. Let's see. Kiss Rio biggest crowd. Yeah. Same thing with this guy right here. Here's Kiss playing in Rio. Kiss no Brasil, Imanocana, Imorbid. Don't ask me why I have that. Look at that. Oh, it looks like a sea anemone. I can speak. Shit. Reset? Oh, thank you. I'm resetting. Welcome to the House Marks Mega Worldwide. Don't forget to thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I'm trying to build a crowd this big for my live show, so let me know through subscriptions. This is during I Love It Loud during the oh my, and the set was a tank, and I love this friggin' tour. But the crowd size is ridiculous. Look at this. The largest this is in Rio de Janeiro, largest non-festival crowd in history. There's, look, it's Vinnie Vincent. There you go, who wore the Ankh, if you'll remember. Which was, by the way, really cool. Yeah. So, never seen a bigger crowd than that. Biggest crowd he's ever seen. Okay, please continue.
It was massive.
It was the real number. I won't say because it'll be a headline. Oh, he exaggerated the number. The real.
Well, yes, that's why you won't say, because it's an exaggeration. Say the real number. If it's a real number and you have the real number, say the fucking real number. Dude can't remember his own, like, what he had for breakfast.
Number was over that sacred number. Okay,
yeah.
You know what that number was, right?
I do.
And I don't even talk.
That sacred number? You mean his chintzy inauguration, which I was at, by the way?
About that, and they don't talk about it. I don't go with it, but I'll tell you, the crowd itself was the biggest crowd I've ever, and I've spoken before the biggest crowds, the biggest crowd I've ever spoken by far, by numerous times, I think. And no.
Again, not sure why I should give a fuck.
Never shows the pictures of that. They show me speaking, but they never show who I'm speaking to, because they don't want. That was.
Imagine on, talking about January 6th and going, God damn it, nobody gives me credit for the number of, like, assholes that were there who didn't officially beat a cop, who got away with it.
Anger over a rigged election that got that many people to go to D.C. A tiny percentage, and I mean tiny, like less than 1%, went to the Capitol. That's all it was. A tiny percentage.
Right, and it was cold that day. People were very cold and weren't
It
trying
was
to
love that.
It was the love of the cold. There was love that day. Fucking hell. Oh my God.
That's all it was. A tiny percentage.
Right, and it was cold that day. People were very cold and weren't
There
trying
was
to
love that day. There was so much love out there during the...
Yes, the love where I was like, well, you know, the kind of love that drives people to scream, hang Mike Pence in the halls of the Capitol and build a fucking gallows. There was, you know what, the gallows they built was built out of love. It was, you know what I mean? That might look like wood some asshole drove in from Virginia. No. The gallows made out of love. That ramrod that they all, you know, created, that wasn't a bunch of flagpoles jammed together, stabbing into cops' riot shields. No. That was made out of love.
Speech. But a tiny percentage, and they started walking to the Capitol in many cases before I even spoke.
Yep.
Okay, you know, that was well known.
Yeah.
But they should show helicopter shots of the crowd. Not
It's still about ticket sales. How about this? How about we show helicopter shots of your Bill O'Reilly tour? How about we send a drone in there and show helicopter shots of all the empty seats? It's amazing how well he does at free events. I would like to remind everyone that in that Kiss footage I showed, everyone there had purchased a ticket. Everyone at that Metallica show bought a ticket, scrounged together money so that they could pay their way in.
6 hours before, like they did with my inauguration, you know, where they show the inauguration hours before.
Right.
And they talk about, oh, not that many
Right.
people.
No, I was there. Believe me, I was not in danger of bumping into anyone, and we were pretty fucking close. But it's a good save if he wants to. It's a still photograph. I mean, they're time-stamped, and you can tell that they're exactly the same time as Obama's, for example, and there was a lot more people there at Obama's throughout the whole thing, and that it was later, it was during his speech, but whatever.
Because I tell you what, it went down to the Washington Monument, and they know it. Just like they showed the...
Well, yeah, stringers of it. There were a lot of people who were, like, really close, and then you're like, this fucking sucks, and they were walking back. Yeah, you couldn't make a human chain. There would be a lot of, you know, broken links.
the basketball arena. And they said, not a good crowd today for Trump. But the doors opened an hour later, and
Right.
the place was packed.
Right. The obvious question is, how are the crowds for Biden?
Well, that's the question. But no, the obvious question is, why is
Yeah. You mean the ones that showed up on voting day that beat you by 8 million votes?
press so corrupt?
Sure.
Why would they show a basketball arena where there's thousands of people, tens of thousands of people outside trying to get in? And why would they show? And it was a guy named Weigel from the Washington Post. Hours before, he got there very early, and hours before the gates opened, he showed an empty arena. And he said, very small, I think there was like one person sitting in the 18,000 seats, right?
Right.
Imagine you're, for a moment, this interview is 13 minutes long. Imagine as a former president, you are coming up on an anniversary of people that you are responsible for storming the Capitol. A woman died. Other cops passed away as well. One cop was blinded. Guy, multiple stitches, like 140 to 200 police officers were injured. And what you're grinding on, what's running through your brain pan over and fucking over, is the fact that they didn't show a picture of a full baseball arena, which, I mean, I citation needed that it was actually full. But imagine this is the thing that keeps you up and angry. This is it. Holy shit.
An NBA arena. And he said, not many people here for President Trump today. And everybody said, oh, it's too bad. Oh, it's so bad. It's so sad. Looked like Biden.
Right.
And then they found out that, oh, wait a minute, the doors weren't open for another couple of hours. When the doors opened, the place packed. And you know who the ones that complained about it? I never saw it. The people at the arena. They said, this guy said that the arena's empty, it's packed. And the lines went back and we couldn't take thousands of people. But why do we have such a dishonest press? That's the question. And why don't they show the real crowd?
Yeah, why didn't they show his evacuation, his beautiful evacuation plan from Afghanistan and his removal of everyone so well and so dignified. Why didn't they show? Why didn't the press give more attention to his healthcare plan 2 weeks from whenever?
That was there on January 6th. The crowd of people that was the biggest I've ever seen.
Right.
I haven't seen any picture. You can hardly get.
Sorry, Trump. When you've lost Bobbitt, you're done. What's her name again? Christina Bob? Yeah. Bobbitt. Sorry. Freudian slip.
Picture. We're trying to find pictures. They have censored the pictures.
Right.
They don't want to.
They censored the pictures. Oh, I'm sorry. Did he say censored or censured?
Can hardly get a picture. We're trying to find pictures. They have censored the pictures.
Right.
They don't want to show that crowd.
They censored them. They have censored. They censored the pictures. And secondly, you didn't, your campaign, I mean, I don't know where the campaign funds went, but you didn't have a helicopter in the air taking pictures of it. There's no news photos. I mean, there's news photos of every other president. You can't find them. Did he try to put them in his book and he couldn't get one that anybody would turn loose of?
That shows what it was all about. They were there over a rigged election.
And so what do you think about censorship and the First Amendment? Where does it go from here? Because a lot of people, for years, there's been this game of conservatives are being censored. Oh, no, they're not. It's all in your head. You're making it up. Well, now it's very clear conservatives are being censored. We know that T-Mobile is removing Gateway Pundit from text messages in their app. So conservatives and
is that a conservative thing? So one guy fucks around and finds out with whatever his provider is, and conservatives are in trouble. Half the fucking country can't tweet or use like T-Mobile mass texting services or some shit. Good God.
rightfully Americans are concerned that our freedom of speech is in jeopardy. What do you think?
It's the beginning of communism, and I think.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yes, when private companies can set their own terms of service and the government cannot force them to carry the political ideals of the party in charge, communism. Communism would be everybody gets on, I guess, wouldn't it? Wouldn't there be like, I don't know. We'd have to ask a real communist. I don't know. Do we have? Let me tell you. He's not. He's half right and half wrong. He's all wrong and half right. He does that sometimes. Yes, in communism, what you have is there is a state mandated number of thumbs up and a thumbs down for anything that does not carry party line. And we do not broom people off of social media at all. We do not allow social media to exist, because private investment is not possible. So you can't have companies. And of course, the government would see everyone. So no, we don't shut people down because they can't, conservative, whatever. We just look in your DMs and shoot you. It's so easy. Why can't you figure this out? The road to communism is paved with pee-pee. All right, I'm back. Sorry. Where were we?
Long beyond the beginning.
Long beyond. Oh my God! Please let that be the name of his autobiography. Long beyond the beginning.
Our freedom of speech is in jeopardy. What do you think?
It's the beginning of communism, and I think it's long beyond the beginning.
It's the beginning of communism, and it's long beyond the beginning. Fucking hell. How are these words? What is happening? What is going on in his face where he's like, I gotta take another bite at that whole sentence. Let me back up and start again. Watching him. Shit. Watching him try to talk like this. It's like watching someone stuck in a cul-de-sac their car is too big for, or like Austin Powers when he's going back in this hallway in the golf cart. God damn.
censoring and a very strong level, conservative voices, Republican.
They're censoring. Shit, man. Censoring is the word. Censure and censor are two different things.
And they're almost blatant about it. You know, it's incredible when you think what they're doing and how they're going about it. But they're censoring voices that are conservative.
It's almost like they're doing shit that isn't communist at all. And what's blatant is you immediately slapping a communism sticker on shit. Fuck.
Or Republican.
Right.
I mean, I read where they censored.
Right. Let me check my notes so we can move on from this, because you keep saying censure when you mean censor. Yeah.
Books on Ronald Reagan and some very good people. And they were met with such force that I think they now said, oh, we didn't mean that. It was a mistake. You know, they do that sometimes. But no, it's a very, very...
Wait, hold on. I missed that. Back the fuck up. What?
They are censoring and a very strong level, conservative voices, Republican voices. And they're almost blatant about it. You know, it's incredible when you think what they're doing and how they're going about it.
Sure.
But they're censoring voices that are conservative or Republican.
Right.
He said
I mean,
censored,
I read
right,
where
finally.
they censored books on Ronald Reagan and some very good people. And they were met with such force that I think they now said, oh, we didn't mean that. It was a mistake. You know, they do that sometimes. But no, it's a very, very serious problem.
Wait a minute. What do you mean right? When did Twitter censor books on Ronald Reagan? What? Does anybody know what the fuck he's talking about? Like, I'm sure, like, I think probably what he means is somebody posted a quote from Ronald Reagan that in context looked like shit, like around George Floyd or something like that, and so they got patted down. They're like, that was a quote from Ronald Reagan. I didn't mean it like that. And they're like, oh, sorry. Something like that. But it's fucking censored books. Yes, that Jack Dorsey stepped down as the CEO of Twitter so that he could go on a books. You can see him at libraries right now with a fucking Sharpie redacting books.
It is the beginning. It's the early stages of communism. Remember when I...
No. Excuse me. It's way beyond the beginning.
Pain that I say we're going to end up being Venezuela sometime if we don't win. We'll end up being Venezuela.
Well, you lost. You didn't win. So I guess we're get ready for Venezuela, kids. Here comes Venezuela.
Where we're headed toward Venezuela large-scale version.
And
Double XL Venezuela. Oh my God. We're headed to Venezuela large-scale version. It's Venezuela supersized with a fish delight.
I think a lot of Americans agree with that sentiment now. We've seen in recent polling, 49% of Americans strongly disapprove of Biden's administration, his performance, and only 20% who strongly approve.
Yeah.
So 51% strongly approve or approve. So a majority approve. His numbers are going up, but keep at it. That's okay.
That's a huge difference between those who strongly disapprove and those who strongly approve. Where do we go from here?
Win the elections, and it's getting harder to win because they're rigged. The borders are broken and the elections are rigged. Other than that, we're doing very well.
Right.
You know, the two things, I used to talk about the broken borders, but I never talked about the elections because I never thought the elections could be rigged to this extent.
Right. So the idea that you know war better than the generals or any of this stuff. By the way, is it just me or does he put back on the weight? Remember he was gaunt for a little while and he'd lost it? Is this the biggest his face has ever been? Is it just me? Yes, elections are rigged by eligible voters. That's what, that's Rand Paul's big problem.
We're talking about hundreds of thousands of votes in certain states. Determinative, meaning far more. You cover this better than anybody. And
yes, that's why you're doing an interview with her, because she's one of the few people selling this bullshit still.
What you do and what OAN does is so important. and you have a much bigger audience.
Oh, we're at the ass kissing level. You have a much bigger audience than people know. That's what he's telling himself, because his staff was like, "Don't go on OAN. Nobody watches that shit."
People understand.
Thank you.
But you cover it better than anybody. And
Dude, I have more people in my live streams than OAN does. And they have seed money from like right-wing lunatics everywhere.
we're talking about elections that are broken, rigged.
And you've been saying this. You were saying this when you were in the White House, saying this election, you know, they're pushing the mail-in ballots. They're going to cheat with mail-in ballots. You were saying this long before most Americans realized it was.
You started saying it. We noticed you started saying it right about the time the polls were pointing to you having your ass handed to you. Right around the time your internal polls started going, "Sir, you're fucked. Sir, you're fucked."
I said it loud and clear when I saw mail-in ballots. I said they're going to use the COVID to steal the election.
Who's they? Motherfucker, you were president of the United States. You lost.
Because they do cheat like nobody's ever cheated before. We ran a third world election.
Stormy Daniels would like a word. Dude, you have 3 wives. Cheat like nobody's ever cheated before. Is he always going to walk into those rakes?
Yeah.
And things are coming out over the next couple of days, maybe even today in one case. I hear a very big story is coming out today.
Yeah. This is the linchpin. This is what'll really wrap it up. This is the big story. You know, everything for the last year really wasn't able to convince anyone. Yeah, there was another big story. You mean about the people in the villages who voted in 2 states, all the Trump voters who are the 4 of them that have been arrested?
Cheating. And numerous states are going to be turned. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's going to show that they were won by me. It's already shown.
Right.
If you look at Arizona, if you look at the findings in Arizona, that's over.
Did.
Right.
We won it. And
Asshole, Biden got more votes. No. In every sense. They were looking for panda semen in the fucking they had electron microscopes. They were looking at the paper. Like, I swear to God, this had to be flown. And they had like Trump supporters, like Clockwork Orange headgear. Just you see panda shit, I see panda shit.
to go out there next week. We're making a speech. But if you look at those findings, we won the state.
Right.
Now it's up to the attorney.
What do you mean, right? No, he didn't. If you look at the findings, he didn't. He lost by more. Dummy, the reason the Republicans there don't want you to look is because they're afraid you'll find all the fake votes that went your way and that you lost worse. They bought all the votes they could, and you still lost.
To see if he's going to do something.
Do you think this woke enough people to get involved and secure their local elections? Because elections used to be something that people just vote, just go vote, and then who cares about the rest of it? But this
right, it's weird. We've been just fine all this time, and then Trump can't take losing, and suddenly it's America's elections are in question. Maybe his ego is in question. Maybe that's it. Maybe no one is really going, "Oh, my elections, dear God."
proved that people need to get involved and be part of the poll watcher group and be part of the challengers. What do you think?
Well, in Pennsylvania, they had poll watchers. In Philadelphia, and the poll watchers were virtually beat up and thrown out. They weren't allowed to.
They were virtually beat up. It was over Zoom. Somebody was... They had like one of those like emojis that came up. Virtually beat up. First of all, it was like they were denied because they already had a Democrat and a Republican, and in some cases an independent there as well. People had already signed up. Oh, thank you for the reset. Welcome to the House Parks. Welcome to House Parks Mega Worldwide. I almost did the radio show one there. That's amazing. Thanks for reminding me, guys. Like and subscribe. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. I'm the only dude carrying the whole thing. I do the whole interview. I don't cut pieces out of it and go, look at this tiny little chunk and pretend. Whatever they post, I do the whole thing, even if it's painful like this. This is the only place. And I feel like some days I'm holding down the fort all by my lonesome. So any support is welcome. Thanks very much. Like and subscribe, thumbs up, and there you go. Thanks, guys.
For days, and by the time they got court orders, the judges took their time, and we had tremendous number of votes. But look, I was up by hundreds of thousands of votes at 10 o'clock in the evening. All of a sudden, it vanished like a miracle.
700,000.
Yeah, because they hadn't counted the mail-in votes in a year of COVID, fucko. Good God. This whole thing, he's doing the same shit. A bunch of these, like, inflation, like, the right-wingers on Fox talking about inflation numbers. They just want to pretend that 2020 was a normal year. That all the votes happened on the same day or came in by early vote. There was no mail-in vote. There was not an off, kilter number of mail-in votes by the people who didn't want to fucking die.
Yeah, tremendous number. It was unbeatable.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we lost
apparently
a close
not.
one. No, it's a very, even the announcers were saying, wow, look at Pennsylvania. We won that by much more than we even thought we were going to win it.
You were still winning on November 4th. It took.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you win by when you don't count everyone's vote. Imagine how good it would be if we could just, whenever we get ahead, stop counting. You remember how it was like, stop the steal, and they're like, stop the count, and then they're like, start counting again, we're behind.
3 days to.
It took them 4 days to cheat.
Yeah, it did. What do you think?
Al Gore would like a word.
What does the American public need to do in order to not just feel secure, but actually secure our elections?
Well, we have.
Yeah, tell us, oh great one. First of all, you got to
better people than Mitch McConnell.
You got to attack. Oh, sorry, I didn't want to. That's my mistake. I didn't mean to attack him in the middle of jumping on Republicans. We usually try not to interrupt that.
Immediately gave up. And, Mike Pence it was sad because when you have more votes than you have voters, you could send that back to the legislatures, right?
Right.
Well, that's true. The problem you have is that you didn't.
Hey, excuse me, we have more votes than voters. Would you check it out? And by that time,
we have more votes than voters. Would you check it out? Like, those are military voters in that area. They vote overseas, but their home is where the base is because their families live there. That shouldn't count. Why? Well, you trust soldiers?
would have done something because, as you know, they were starting to get angry around that time. They said, wait a minute, we've been scammed.
There were protesters.
So that was disappointing with Mike. And Mitch McConnell shouldn't have accepted it. Schumer would have never accepted it. If he would have had that, he didn't want to accept the last election and there were no complaints. How about where Maxine Waters objected to Alabama last time and I won by 45 points and she was objecting to Alabama?
Yeah, but she didn't have a senator sign on to it, and it was an objection to people in Alabama being denied the ability to vote because of lack of machines, long lines, an active campaign to stop people of color from voting. That was the concern. No expectation it would overturn the election, but the idea was that she would object.
It was a landslide, and they fight differently. And they stick together, but
yes, they apparently Schumer couldn't accept the 2016 election, and yet signed off on it.
Mitch McConnell has been a disaster, and he wanted this thing done. Our country must go forward, and the first thing Biden did is sign 17 executive orders, ruinous to our country, including borders. Open the borders. The war.
No.
Been completed in 4 weeks. It was done.
Yeah.
Except
those last 4 weeks. The wall's total shit. It was just those last 4 weeks.
Took 2.5.
The date of this interview, January. They posted it today, January 6th. So they probably did this 2 days ago for posting today.
Here's this tough because I had to win all the lawsuits. So I won the lawsuits. We built almost 500 miles of border wall. The rest was going to be completed immediately. And they took it.
And yet it doesn't fucking work.
Won't even give it to Texas to use the fencing material. So Texas is going to have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to buy the material that's sitting right there on the side.
Right. It's really disappointing. Well, sir, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. This is really great. So what did we cover today? That we should still be in Afghanistan with a magic plan. and of course that you know, the election was faked and fraud and fraud and rigged and faked and fraud and stuff, and your crowd size was ginormous. I mean, and was America mentioned? Yeah. Did he say fence? Did he say slat fence?
Thank you very much.
Want to see more?
No, I don't. No, I'm done. Thank you very much.